The hype was real for this game back in 2015. After the roaring success of MK9, a sequel was inevitable. Little Overnight Tom was counting down the days until it was released. I watched every trailer, read every article, and when it finally came out, I loved it. But with a decade to let the hype settle, is MKX worth going back to, or should it be left to rot in the crypt? Just like my other MK videos, I'll go over everything in the game first and save the story breakdown for last. First off, the game is so fun to play. It feels like the fastest MK yet, but still super easy to pick up and play. It's very similar to MK9 combat, but encourages you to always be on the offensive, at least how I play. Fights never have a dull moment where you're waiting for someone to make a move. The action was consistent. I'm not great at fighting games, I'm slightly above a button masher, and for me it was hard to put MKX down. I loved it. Each hit lands with a punchy sound, the gore has been dialed up even more than MK9, the game has a gritty aesthetic which spoke to me. Let's go with what's the same as MK9 before we get into the changes. Characters can still punch, kick, jump, block and perform special moves. The special meter introduced in MK9 is still here and is unchanged. The meter is filled by taking damage, blocking attacks and using special moves. Except the meter seems to fill a lot faster here, which I like as it makes the pace of the fights feel quicker and gives you more options in combat. First bar is used to enhance special moves, like adding an extra spear to Scorpion's get over here move, thus causing more damage. It is as fun as ever to try out different enhanced moves. You just press RT the same time as you perform a special move. The second part is used as the breaker. If you're stuck getting hit, you can tap RT to stop the combo, giving you some breathing room. When the meter is full, you can perform an X-ray attack by pressing both triggers. This is a powerful attack that seems to do a lot more damage than it did in MK9. It's risky to use, as if you miss, your entire meter is spent, leaving you with less options. It's obvious when you're about to perform an X-ray, the character flashes, so it can be blocked often. Once landed, a short animation will play of the character brutally attacking the opponent, normally about 3 hits. With each hit, the game will go into slow-mo, and you will see the inside of their bodies as bones breaks and organs get smashed. It's pretty gnarly. They aren't as artsy here. In MK9, the X-ray attacks would make the area go dark, and the characters would become black and white. Here they stay in colour, which I don't think I like as much as the black and white. The black and white made the attacks feel more brutal. They're still fun to watch, but you will most likely see them more often than you did in MK9, because the meter fills faster. So instead of seeing them once or twice a match, it'll probably be double that now. Characters only have one animation each, so you might get a bit sick of them if you only stick to one character. I still like the X-rays as a risk-reward system. It's up to you if you think saving the meter for them is worth it. More experienced players will go for enhanced attacks over it, meaning they won't see the X-rays as much. The meter system is still brilliant. It adds a lot of strategy to the game and is still very intuitive to use. So that's what's the same for the combat. What's new? There are 3 big changes compared to MK9. The first is the stamina bar, which I like here. Stamina is used so you can sprint. The bar fills up super fast, hold RT whilst moving and you will sprint. This is great for making up distance and for keeping the pace of the fighting up. No more do you have to dash after dash. It's a small change, but it makes the combat feel way more intense overall. Stamina is also used for the second big change, stage interactions. If you have enough stamina, you can use certain parts of the stage. It is obvious what you can interact with, it will glow grey when near. They are also always in similar spots on each stage, like at both ends of the map, then 2 or 3 near the middle. You can throw things like barrels or old ladies at your enemy for high damage. Once used, they are gone for the match. Or some you can use to swing off or jump off. If you wish to create distance, it depends on the stage. Some of these can be reused, some can't. The ones at the end of the stage normally can be reused, as this will stop you from getting stuck in the corner, which is lovely. I'm a big fan of this system. It brings stages to life and adds strategy. Some are just funny as well, like the old lady getting thrown while she is just minding her own business will never not be funny. I get why some people don't like them though. Some people always try to get to the throw interactions first, so the other player can't use them, instead of actually fighting. If you use all the interactions, you knock off a serious amount of your opponent's health, which could feel unfair. It also doesn't require much skill to use, just tap RB, when fighting games are all about skill. The last controversial system they added was the variation system. When you pick your character, you'll then have to pick between 3 versions of them. For example, my boy Scorpion. One version he'll have his swords, so he'll have exclusive attacks based on that. For the second, is more focused on his fire abilities, and for the third, he'll be able to summon a demon to attack for him or to hold down enemies. If you pick the sword version, you won't be able to summon, and vice versa. Each version comes with exclusive attacks. He will always have the same base abilities, like he will always have his spear, his slide and his teleport kick. He'll just have some extra moves on top, or some moves will be changed depending on which variation you pick. His outfit will change slightly depending on what you pick as well, so if you pick swords they'll be on his back, If you pick Fire, his hands will be on fire, and if you pick Summoner, a skull pouch will be on his belt. I rather enjoyed this system. It adds a lot to the game for me. It's really enjoyable trying out all the variations to see which I enjoyed and which suited my playstyle. It's neat being able to change a character's playstyle as well. Characters who are normally best up close can be changed to be better off at far range. Like with Scorpion, I thought I'd want him to be a brawler type, but I found myself really enjoying him as a summoner. So it was really good at getting me to try out different strategies. I'm always going to pick Scorpion as my main, but now he can be played as more of a ranged character. I find myself trying out more range based characters because I enjoyed it with him. It is also quite easy to grasp different versions. It's similar inputs to do exclusive moves, and it doesn't change the characters that drastically. If you pick Summoner Scorpion but aren't a fan of those moves, you can still get by using his base moves. The characters are the same cake but with different icing, if that makes sense. It sounds really great, but what are the negatives? It feels like you have to learn triple the amount of characters now because of this. In MK9 you know characters can do a certain thing and to keep an eye out for it. Now there are 3 different versions, so now you have to remember if this is that version that can do that one thing or not. Then it can feel like characters are missing iconic moves because it's exclusive to one version now. Like Raiden's teleport, which he has had in most games, is only in his Displacer variant. Instead of making one character that can do lows, they made 3 nerf versions of them instead. I can see that argument, and it is valid, but for me some of these moves just wouldn't be in the game if they weren't a variant, or a character would be really hard to learn and balance if they had all these moves. Then there's the minor point where some characters' look doesn't feel right unless you're playing a specific variant. Like I love Aaron Black, but only one variant has a hat on. He looks at his best with a hat on, why would you make the hat exclusive? The hat has nothing to do with the gameplay. One variant he has a rifle on his back and moves where he uses that rifle. That makes sense why that's exclusive. But why the hat? Hatgate 2015, never forget. Each character only has a few special moves to learn. They're easy enough to pull off, is often just 3 or 4 inputs, like left, right, X. This makes it easy to remember moves and learn characters. It is a very beginner friendly game. They have even added some features to make learning the game easier. There is as always a good tutorial which teaches you the basics. Then for this game they added a feature where you can tag a few moves from the moves list and then they'll appear under your health bar whilst you are fighting, which is fantastic when learning new characters. Another goss is when you pause, the game will show you some of the character's special moves and what moves are exclusive to that variation you're using. This is also superb. It's nice to have. I use this a lot during story mode. You'll be switching characters every 4 fights, so having their moves at the press of a button meant I could get into the fighting quicker. I really preferred the fighting here compared to MK9, but are the iconic finishers just as good? Fatalities make a return and are as gory as ever. Each character gets 2. Most are creative, over the top and brutal. They have a more cinematic style in their presentation here, with good use of different camera angles and beats to make the fatalities feel more entertaining. It's normally like setup, first hit, second hit, then an over the top finish. They are so much fun to watch, and most make use of the character's uniqueness. Raiden will use electricity, Sub-Zero uses ice. There are a few crap ones, but there are definitely more hits than misses. Quan Chi has a sick one where he forces his opponent to walk into a sword, or Kenshi has one where he spins the sword really fast and forces them into it and it slows down to show their face getting sliced like bread. Ah, it's so sick. There are also staged and classic fatalities which aren't as brutal, but nice to have. NetherRealm added even more ways to finish your enemy off, like brutalities. These might be my favourite thing they added. Perform certain requirements during a match and you can end your opponent with one. So it'll be stuff like land 3 throws during a match and the final hit must come from a throw. Then that final hit will kill them. It's really rad. You'll get sick of seeing the same fatalities after a while, so brutalities are a nice shake-up. They require some skill to pull off and there is a lot of them. Each character gets 5, 3 of which are variant exclusive. Very satisfying to pull off and fun to watch. They are short and gory. It's also nice when you perform it on accident. The last way you can finish off your opponents with faction kills. At the start of the game you'll be asked to join a faction. There are 5 to choose from. This will determine what background your main menu is and what faction kills you have access to. As I'm in the Special Forces faction, all my faction kills are drone based. They are quick ways of killing your enemy. It's just more variety. As you play you'll earn XP for yourself and for your faction. If your faction is in the lead you'll gain access to exclusive rewards like certain faction kills or banners. This was cool back in the day but I don't think it works anymore, as the faction page for me would be stuck on loading forever. I've got a max level with each faction in the past just to see the faction kills, so the combat's faster, bloodier and more flexible. But what's a Mortal Kombat game without its cast of killers? Before that, I should mention this game has a 25-year time jump since MK9. Characters are older, they have had kids, and is a reason to introduce new characters. I'll go into the time jump in the story section. For now, let's talk about the characters. Not all characters make a return from MK9, which I'm fine with. You have to introduce new characters if you want to keep things feeling fresh. All the main characters do return though, like Scorpion, Sub-Zero, Raiden, Melina, Liu Kang and Johnny. I think the design of the returning characters is very good. MKX is going for a more gritty, realistic look, and that's reflected in the designs. I like almost everyone's new base design. Scorpion's new design is more subtle than his MK9 appearance, and I like it. Katana's outfit might be her best ever. She's got a ninja princess thing going on. Reptile looks way better than he did in MK9, I love the bone armor he has. A lot of returning characters have tournament outfits you can unlock, which is sick as I love the MK9 designs. Let's see, Scorpion looks good, Johnny looks like he did in MK9, nice, so does Kenshi. Oh, what happened here, Sonya? This isn't your MK9 outfit. Or Katana, or Ermac. Wait, don't tell me Melina. What have they done to you? Look how they massacred you! Why in God's name are they called tournament outfits, if it's not what they wore in MK9? Why do some have accurate outfits, and others don't? What's actually going on here? And yes, I am annoyed about the lack of sex appeal. Sonya's outfit looks like crap without it, and because of the realistic approach it lacks the colour to make it pop. Fortunately, there are some good alternative outfits you can unlock or buy. Vampire Melina looks great, and Cold War Scorpion and Sub-Zero are sick looking, comrade. Kenshi's Ronin outfit might be the best in the game, so I like most of the returning fighters' outfits. What about the new characters? First are the Kombat kids. They're all relatives to the previous game's fighters. First there is Cassie Cage, who is Johnny and Sonya's daughter. Her design and attitude reflect that. She gets the military look from her mother and the sunglasses and phone from her father. Next is Takeda. He is Kenshi's son who has been trained by Scorpion. He has a cyber ninja thing going on which looks awesome. He also uses spears like Scorpion and telepathy like his dad. His second outfit is also a great reference to Kenshi and Scorpion. It's basically Kenshi's old outfit but with yellow instead of red for Scorpion. After that is Kung Jin. He is Kung Lao's cousin somehow. Nephew would have made more sense because of the age difference, but sure, let's go with cousin. Not an amazing design, the coolest thing about him is his bow staff. Having a bow is fairly unique for an MK character, so good for him. Also, fire comes out of the dragon on his staff, which is cool. Last is Jackie Briggs. She is Jack's daughter, and the only character I dislike in this game. She's just Jax, but a girl, not a lot more than that. Her outfits are kind of boring as well. For the rest of the new characters, they're all villains. My favourite is Aaron Black, which is a cool name. He is an outworld version of a cowboy, which is a neat idea. I rather like his outfit, it's simple but effective, he just needs the hat. I don't like his second outfit, he looks like he should be a bottom at a sex dungeon. My second favourite addition is Ferritor. Is it just a rip-off Master Blaster from Mad Max? Yes, but he look cool, and it's a unique idea for MK. The girl on his back is basically in charge and the big guy's the muscle. I think it's a fun character, who I'd like to see make a return. Another fun idea is Devora. She is freaky looking. She's bug themed, she's got wings and tendrils that come out her back. She stands out from the rest of the cast in the best way. The last new addition is Kotal Khan. He is Aztec inspired and it's a cool look. He has sun powers because they used to worship the sun. And his nipples are really pronounced. Honestly, I really love the design of the new villains. NetherRealm clearly had a lot of fun coming up with new ideas for characters in the MK franchise. Then lastly are the DLC characters. Tanya is cool to see and looks like Tanya. But Raichu looks terrible, he's so bland, where is his belly and what is he wearing? Tremor looks fantastic, he's the brown ninja and is all about rocks, minerals. Then lastly is Triborg, which is such a sick idea. He is all the cyber ninjas rolled into one. Each of his variants are for a different ninja. Red is for Sector, yellow is for Cyrax and grey is for Smoke. Then there is even a secret 4th variant for Sub-Zero. Whoever came up with this character needs a raise. Also Goro was Day 1 DLC and looks like Goro. Fuck Day 1 DLC. Finally, there are the guest fighters. This is the best guest lineup to any game besides Smash Bros. Jason, Leatherface Predator and a Xenomorph. So awesome. They all fit into MK well, and Adez put so much love and attention into each of them. So many references and little touches are thrown in, they are a love letter to their films. I wish they had alternative outfits though. Another standout feature introduced in this game is the character interactions before matches. Just put this in every fighting game. They will have quick chats before they start fighting. It's normally 3 lines. They are great and flesh out the world. They can be funny, sad, informative and crap. Characters who don't get the time to shine in the story get a few lines to win you over here. I would spend time just pairing up different characters to see what they would say to each other. They aren't long and can be skipped, but I love listening to them. Without this, you would only have character endings and bios to go on. It's just a great little feature. So what can you do with these fighters then? First are the traditional towers. Classic is 10 fights in a row, with the final fight being against corrupted Shinnok, who isn't as cool as Shao Kahn, but he's also nowhere near as unfair. Honestly, he is kinda underwhelming. Beat him and you get an ending for your character. The presentation of these have been improved since MK9, they feel more like motion comics now. The art is good, and there is a bit of movement in them. The actual endings themselves are very hit or miss. Some tie into each other, which is always cool. Kenshi's ending has him and Takeda finding Taven from Armageddon. This carries on Takeda's ending where they team up to kill Dagon. A lot of endings make reference to other characters like Ermac finds Shang Tsung or Cassie beats up Shinjinko. It's nice to see them, but they are kind of just member berries and nothing more. Most of the endings kind of just left me saying, okay. Like Sub-Zero's ending is just him getting ice dragons, or Katana's has her remembering she is angry. Like, what am I supposed to take away from this? Honestly, the best endings are the guest characters. They are suitably dark and suit them well. Like the Xenomorphs taking over Outworld, or the Predator learning sorcery to become an ultimate predator was sick. The other towers are Test Your Luck, which is really fun, 10 fights with random modifiers to keep things interesting. Stuff like upside down screen, pulls on the floor, electric hands, no meter, and health back on hits. I had a blast with this and I love the randomness of it. Test Your Luck is so underrated. The next tower is Test Your Might because you can never have too much button mashing. I like that it's here, but did it really need to be his own tower? Then there's the Endless Tower, which does exactly what the name implies. Last is Survivor, which is the same as Endless, but your health doesn't reset between matches. Both are fun towers that I didn't play much of because of the live-in towers. These were new to MK. Basically you get 3 different towers that switch out after a set amount of time, hourly, daily and weekly. This was my bread and butter back in 2015. I used to have It's Always Sunny snapped, if you remember that Xbox feature, and play these towers endlessly. The towers come with different modifiers from Test Your Luck, beat a tower and you unlock that modifier for Test Your Luck. So much replay value here. The Premier Tower was especially cool. You could play DLC characters for free if it was their tower. It also has seasonal themes. So because I recorded the footage the week of Halloween, I had a Halloween themed tower filled with spiders crawling on the screen, pumpkins falling from the sky. These towers are great for people who play offline, there's always something to do. Outside of the tower is the Krypt. It has been upgraded since MK9. Here it is a big area for you to explore in first person. You spend the coins you earn to unlock random rewards like costumes and artwork. The area is really fun and it can be quite creepy to explore. You can get jumped by random monsters which you have to react quickly if you want to kill. You also have to find items to access more areas, like you need to find Raiden's staff in order to teleport across large gaps. The Krypt doesn't need to be this detailed, but shows how much effort NetherRealm puts into rewarding players' curiosity. Graphically the game looks good, but not great for 2015. Stages are beautiful and very detailed with lots going on in the background. Most stages also have alternative look, like the forest can have a red sky instead of a blue one, which looks great. Character models look good, it's just their skin can look odd sometimes, like it's too shiny. The blood and gore on the other hand looks fantastic. They create a whole internal system for models for when they get x-rayed or fatalityed on. It looks awesome. It's a shame then they removed the character models showing damage as the match goes on. I always thought it was a clever touch. When Liu Kang's flame hands clash with Raiden's electricity, the game can look stunning with all the particle effects going on. The order for the game is on point. The music suits the game well. Sound effects are loud, satisfying and enhance the gore. Adding different effects on certain characters like Devourer to make her sound buggy are a great touch. The audio for the guest characters are also spot on. They have Jason's ch-ch when he enters. The Predator and Xenomorph have their iconic growls. The voice acting is amazing all round, no one did a bad job. Johnny is the obvious standout. Shinnok comes across as Weasley from just his voice alone, and Scorpion still sounds demonic. This is best shown in the story, which is now time for. Non-spoilers first, I enjoyed the story, but I think MK9 is slightly better. The time jump is a really cool idea and creates a lot of story opportunities, but I feel like they should have saved it for MK11. A lot of interesting stuff happens that we don't really get to see because it's such a big jump in time. In my dream scenario, MKX would have adapted the story of MK4, Deadly Alliance and Deception in some way. Then MK11 could have had the time jump, but that's not what we got. The story has a more cinematic feel this time around. Cutscenes are actually shot like it's a movie with lots of different angles and staging. You can tell they put a lot more work into making the characters feel less stiff. They've also thrown in QTEs because why not? I don't mind QTEs, keeps your hands busy, but you don't actually have to succeed at them. You can fail every one, so what's the point? They also slow down the pacing. I'm still not a huge fan of the structure. The characters you are playing as have to win 4 fights, so you know how the chapters are going to play out, and it makes some chapters feel longer than they need to be. I think this is the best game so far at avoiding completely pointless fights. It didn't feel like there were any chapters that were just there to be filler. In this story it's really fun to see how characters have changed over the years. Johnny especially has been humbled a lot since MK9, and is trying to be a good dad here. While seeing Scorpion not be a Spectre and making up with Sub-Zero was great to see. It is disappointing to see some plot lines reverted in this game, like the Revenants. It's cool in MK9 to see our heroes turned into them, even though I don't like how it happens. But it gets reversed way too quickly here for some characters, just so we can have them back. The story is a lot more focused on the new characters, as it should, but it does lead the classic characters being left out. I get they're under Quan Chi's spell, but I wish we saw more of how the Revenants are actually coping. Shinnok doesn't get enough screen time considering he is the main villain. We don't really learn much about him, he is trapped in an amulet for most of the story. Why do people follow him? Is it just because he's an elder god? The new characters are introduced alright here, but don't feel as developed as they should be. Like there is a lot here that will be expanded on in the next game, like Jackie and Takeda's relationship, which should be fine, but they bring in timeline shenanigans in the next game so they can focus on the old characters. It's not this game's fault, but I would like to see where this timeline went. The story is a few chapters shorter than MK9, which is great for pacing, as it doesn't feel like there are any pointless chapters or just filler. Personally, I wouldn't have minded a few extra chapters to flesh out the characters more. Overall, it's a lower stakes story than the other games, which I was happy with. Not everything has to do with multiple timelines. It's mostly here to set up new characters and how the world has changed in 25 years, which I think it does well, which the next game doesn't really explore more, so it's missed potential. Anywho, it's time for the story breakdown. Go to this timecode if you want to skip. We open on some narration explaining how Shinnok is locked up, and a quick summary of the last game. The statues used to show this are cool, but it's not as strong as opening as MK9. We then see demons invading Earthrealm, and you can already tell how much more cinematic the cutscenes feel compared to MK9. Johnny, Sonya and Kenshi are with a group of soldiers in a helicopter. They are heading to go stop Shinnok, but are jumped by Scorpion and Sub-Zero. This is where we get our first QTE. It's a well choreographed sequence, I just don't think we need QTEs. Take note that Johnny uses his shadow kick here. Eventually the chopper crashes and Johnny has to fight off the ninjas. Fortunately there are no 2v1 fights this time around. That brings us to Raiden and Fujin holding off Shinnok's forces. The story will have this a lot. Characters from the older games will make an appearance, which is nice to see, but their designs are quite basic. Next you see Quan Chi and his Revenants, who might I add, are in their MK9 outfits, so why couldn't the playable characters have these outfits? Johnny will then fight Smoke, who says Smoke is dead, I'm a Nenra, which is a nice callback to Smoke's tower ending in MK9. The more you know. Shinnok appears before Raiden and Fujin. He comes out of two giant skeleton hands, which is a cool design. He manages to beat both of them, but is interrupted by Johnny, Sonya and Kenshi. Shinnok manages to hold them off and tries to use his amulet to kill Sonya. This triggers Johnny's green power to activate to save her. This is the first time he's ever used his green powers, which seems wrong. He managed to get through the entire MK9 with just his karate alone. Also, he uses it during the QTE at the start of the game. It activates here because someone he loves is in danger, which is a good way to show his character growth. In the last game he only loved himself, now he actually cares about others. Johnny managed to hold off Shinnok, whilst Raiden uses the amulet to trap Shinnok in. Johnny goes to check on Sonya, she calls him Johnny, and passes out. We learn Quan Chi has escaped and the amulet can't be destroyed. Kenshi then asks why is he smiling. He says, she called me Johnny, and smiles, which is one of the best character moments in the game. Next we transition to 20 years later. Johnny is telling this story to the Kombat kids. He tells them he is apparently a descendant of a warrior tribe which is in line with his tower ending in MK9. Johnny is in charge of training them as the world needs new heroes as Johnny and the gang are getting on. He then sends them on their first mission to bring in Sub-Zero. They might need his help to defend against Outworld. Cassie asks why they worried about Outworld. Kotal Khan respects the Raikou Accords. Raikou was a Shao Kahn lackey in the old games, so it's implied here he tried to take over Outworld at some point. Johnny tells her Kotal is facing a civil war. This smoothly transitions us into Kotal's chapter. Kotal is in a carriage with Kano and Devora. Kano is trying to make a deal with Kotal, but this is a trap. The carriage has to stop because of a blockage in the road. Melina is waiting on a rooftop with Tanya and Rain. Melina somehow has Shinnok's amulet. She is hesitant to use it as it hurts to use. Umak is in charge of moving the blockage. It looks funny, he's just moving the boxes one by one. Could all these men not help him? The ambush is then triggered. Kano fails to kill Kotal. He then has to fight Tanya and Rain, which is a nice surprise as they aren't playable characters. I guess Tanya is now, but she wasn't on release. I always wondered why they didn't do a story pack where you can play as these characters. Kotal manages to beat Melina, but she gets away. This will be the last fight Kotal wins. Melina wants Kotal dead so she can become Khan. She thinks it is her right as she is Shao's daughter. Can I also just say, Khan isn't a title, that was Shao's last name, right? Emperor is his title. Onaga wasn't called Onaga Khan. Meanwhile in Earthrealm, the Kombat kids are on their mission. Cassie says, Sub-Zero won't know what hit him. Then the title drops, Chapter 3, Sub-Zero. That's not a good sign for you, Cassie. Sub-Zero is looking good here considering he was a robot in the last game. The mission doesn't go well for the kids. Kung Jin doesn't listen to Cassie's orders and they get ambushed. This is to show Kung Jin is too arrogant, just like his cousin. I like how Sub-Zero calls everyone by their first and last name. Our boy Sub wipes the floor with the kids whilst giving them tips. Just when it looks like he's going to execute him, Johnny shows up and reveals this was just a training exercise. Johnny's little wave is a nice touch. The team clearly needs to learn how to work together. They get a report saying Outworlders have come to Earthrealm, so they need to head back to base, where they are greeted by a very dashing Kenshi. He informs them refugees from Outworld have come because of the Civil War. Kenshi has a quick telepathic catch-up with his son. Good for you, Kenshi. Sonya is here and she is a general now. She is very cold to her daughter and Johnny. She calls him Mr. Cage and her Sergeant Cage, which you can tell they aren't a fan of. Lee May makes a cameo as the leader of the refugees. I will say the returning characters are used well, and it's nice to see them considering it have been like 9 years since their last appearance. She tells them about the amulet that Melina has. Raiden leaves to investigate the amulet's disappearance. He walks off. Why is he so against teleporting? Sonya sends the kids to Outworld after being a dick to Johnny. The kids run into Aaron Black, who wants to know why they are here. He is so underused in the story. This is basically his one scene. Takeda reads him and finds out he's from Earthrealm. Why does he work for Outworld then? Wouldn't that be interesting to explore? Too bad this doesn't get brought up again. Kung Jin convinces him to take them to Kotal, but first they need to watch an execution. Someone is put to death because they stole some food. Kung Jin jumps in to save the thief, causing drama. The kids manage to defend themselves until Kotal arrives. Kung Jin explains to the kids he saved the thief because not all thieves are irredeemable. Maybe on Earthrealm, but in Outworld, we need to be extremely prejudiced. This triggers a flashback to 5 years ago where Kung Jin is stealing a statue from the Sky Temple, but is caught by Raiden. He explains that statue was a gift from the Kung family. Jin doesn't think Raiden deserves it, as he blames Raiden for Kung Lao's death. Raiden says he goes too far, but Kung Jin is pretty spot on here. Raiden convinces Kung Jin to join the Shaolin monks like his cousin. He didn't want to join because he thought they wouldn't accept him because he's gay. I like how this is handled here, it's subtle. Raiden says, "They hear only about what is in your heart, not whom your heart desires," which is a good line and not super in your face. If this was made today, Kung Jin would be covered in rainbow flags and remind you he's gay every few seconds. It never gets brought up again after this scene, it's more natural, which I think is the way to go. Next we come back to the present day. Kotal is suspicious that Earthrealm has teamed up with Melina. Kotal wants them executed, but Kung Jin claims right of defense through combat. This was stupid in Black Panther and is stupid here. Important decisions should not be made through fighting. What is the point of this war? Why doesn't Melina just do this and win? Kotal expects to be killed because he lost, but Kung Jin just wants them to work together. Now back to Earthrealm. Raiden confirms the amulet has indeed been stolen. Sonya finds one of Kano's victims at the base. She knows it is Kano's work because it's one of his neckties, which is dark. I feel like Kano is really underused considering how many games he is in. Sonya and Johnny have a realistic argument. We learn that they are divorced. Sonya was too focused on her work, which to be fair is an important job, and didn't make time for her family, which is the reason they broke up. It's surprisingly real for an MK game. Johnny says, "There was a time you cared about your family more than your job, General." Another great line, and this triggers a flashback to 20 years ago. Sonya and Johnny have tracked down Quan Chi. They get into a few fights with Jack, Scorpion, Sub-Zero and Quan Chi. During one of the fights, Johnny takes a fatal hit. This starts the process of him becoming a Revenant. Raiden shows up to reverse this. He manages to after Sonya hits Quan Chi in the balls multiple times. Once the spell's reversed, all the nearby Revenants become human again. Unfortunately, it doesn't work for all the Revenants. Whilst we are here, this is how Sub-Zero is a human again. This is a bit of a retcon. In MK9, we see that Cyber Sub-Zero became a Revenant. I don't know how he became human here. I originally thought that Quan Chi kinda makes a clone with the dead person's soul, like what we see happening to Johnny. This will explain why he is human. A soul can't be cyberized. But in MK9, the Revenant is Cyber Sub-Zero, so what happened? I don't think I would have noticed this if I didn't play these games so close together. Anyway, the important part is Jax and Sub-Zero are back to normal, and Scorpion is no longer under Quan Chi's control. Sonya and Raiden check on Johnny, who is fine now, but Quan Chi manages to slip away. Johnny says we need to go after him, but Sonya says it's more important to make sure everyone is safe. She put family above her work here. This does mean that nobody could track down Quan Chi in 20 years, which is ridiculous. He should be the most wanted man in all the realms. What have you been doing, Raiden? We then jump back to the present day and Sonya has caught Kano. She almost kills Kano, but he knows where to find the amulet. So she lets him go after Johnny says, "Don't make this another thing you'll regret." I don't know who wrote Johnny's dialogue, but they were cooking. Sonya tells the kids where the amulet is. Devore suggests that she goes in alone stealthily to nick the amulet. Cassie insists she tags along. We see a flashback this time to 10 years ago. Cole has a cool design here. It suggests that he paints himself green to look more imposing or royal. Kotal, Reptile and Devora are discussing a coup against Melina's reign. Reptile knows Melina is a creation of Shang Tsung and not Shao Kahn's real heir. This would lead her to losing the throne. They are ambushed by Mileena, Ermac and Baraka. Reptile tells everyone what he knows, causing everyone to fight. Ermac betrays Mileena. Devore fights Baraka, who looks pretty good here. Once beaten, a xenomorph pops out of his chest, which I was not expecting. What a turn. I kid, of course. Devore actually kills Baraka, which I'm not too upset about. You have to set up new characters as a threat, so having him kill some of the old characters off is sad but necessary. He also died in battle, which is how characters in MK should go out. It also adds some stakes to the story. If you think no one's going to die, it's not that interesting. After this, Kotal becomes calm. Back in the present day, Devore and Cassie aren't sneaky at all, and get into a bunch of fights. We find out Rain and Tanya are both dicks. Cassie doesn't let Devore kill them. I think one old character death is enough for now. Mileena shows up and gets defeated. They bring her to Kotal Khan along with the amulet. He sentences her to death, which makes sense, I just don't like how it's handled. Devore kisses her and a bunch of bugs come out to eat her face. It's not a great way for a legacy character to go. It's like they gave Mileena lips specifically for this one scene. I would have rather she did the defense of combat thing like Kung Jin earlier. I also rather Kotal killed her. Devore has just killed 2 popular characters in a span of about 15 minutes. It's a bit much. Just spread out the deaths if you're going to do it. It's like NetherRealm are trying way too hard to get us to think Devore is cool. It's actually turned a lot of people off of her. She kills even more in the next game. Why not give some kills to the other villains? Anyway, she's dead, and Kotal betrays the Kombat kids and takes them prisoner. He doesn't trust Earthrealm to look after the amulet, which to be fair they did lose in the first place. Kotal trusts Devore to transport the amulet. This is where we find out she's been working with Quan Chi. She worships Shinnok for some reason. Quan Chi requests she brings the amulet to him. This is where Jax comes in. Sonya decides to recruit him in finding Quan Chi. She visits him at his home and he is wearing one of his best outfits. Jax is pissed at Sonya but gets over it pretty quick. He didn't want Jackie to join the special forces because of what happened to him. Not even the arm thing, the Revenant thing. Apparently Jax is the Quan Chi expert, he agrees to help. Back in Outworld, the Kombat kids are locked in cells on a ship. This is where we get a bit of character depth from them. Each talk about their problems. Cassie says it's hard being the daughter of the general and living up to the cage name. Kung Jin feels the same pressure Kung Lao had. His family are always talking about how the great Kung Lao beat Goro even though it was 600 years ago, which explains why he's always trying to prove himself. Takeda talks about how his father went missing from his life. These are all quite interesting and makes you feel for the characters. Then there's Jackie. She says she can relate to Takeda. Jax was too overprotective, that's what's bothering her. How is that similar to what he is going through? Poor Jackie, your father loved you too much. He lost his arms to a magician doing the same job you were doing. He seems justified to me. Takeda uses telepathy powers to get everyone out of the cells. We flash back to Takeda finishing his training with Scorpion. It is sick seeing a human Scorpion. During the time jump, Kenshi and Scorpion have become friends, which I can see happening. I imagine Kenshi could use his powers to calm him down. Kenshi asked Scorpion to train his son just after his mother died, but this meant he didn't see him for 10 years. Kind of a dick move on Kenshi's part? He did this to protect Takeda from the Red Dragon, as he would have been a target like his mother. Takeda thought she died in an accident. Now his training is complete, Kenshi can teach him telepathy, so they can hunt down the Red Dragon together. This is a good backstory that ties a new character to the old characters. It's a shame then Cassie and Jackie don't get their own flashbacks. After the Kombat kids escape, the Outworlders report to Kotal about Devore's treachery. Kotal plans to head to the Sky Temple with an army to get the amulet back. Meanwhile, Jax and Kenshi have tracked down Quan Chi. Finally, after 20 years. Serena makes a cameo to tell them Quan Chi is weaker because Shinnok isn't around. This means he can't teleport. I'm glad she mentioned this because I would have absolutely brought out the fact he can teleport. Jax managed to fight off the Revenant, which is fitting because he used to be one, so it's kind of like he's fighting his past demons. Serena fights Katana and mentions how she can help her escape Quan Chi's control, like Bihan did for her. So even after the timeline change, Sub-Zero Mythologies is still canon. It's not important, just funny. Katana enjoys being a Revenant, as it means she's no longer a victim. This makes me want to explore the Revenant stuff more. They're clearly not just puppets. Jax makes it to Quan Chi and takes him in. News has gotten to Scorpion that Quan Chi is in custody. Scorpion being Scorpion wants revenge. He walks right into the base and requests to kill Quan Chi. Sonya tries to convince him not to, so that he can help the other Revenants become human again. He doesn't care, and attacks the base with the Shirai Ryu. He beats Sonya, Kenshi and Johnny. Kenshi tells Scorpion that Quan Chi isn't worth it. Scorpion replies, "He is the architect of my suffering." Badass line. This gets him thinking of a flashback. 5 years ago, Sub-Zero invited Scorpion over to end their feud. It's great to see these two make up after so many games of them being rivals. They even have tea. Of course they have to fight because of a misunderstanding. Frost tries to jump Scorpion, which is very in character for her. After freezing her, they get to chatting. Sub-Zero explains that he killed Sector and looked through his memories. Here is the proof that Quan Chi was behind the death of Scorpion's clan and family. The Lin Kuei requested he get rid of the Shirai Ryu, but because he kept Scorpion as a spectre, their deal fell through. Sub-Zero had no clue about this. They both have a heart-to-heart, Scorpion apologises for killing his brother, and both agree Quan Chi must pay. It's a great scene, just wish we had more of these two. All I want is a Shaolin Monks type game where these two are hunting down Quan Chi. Is that so much to ask? Back in the present, Scorpion has Quan Chi at his mercy. Quan Chi calls him Scorpion. He interrupts him and shouts, "My name is Hanzo Atashi," which is awkward. I have been calling him Scorpion all video. This is a great scene for Hanzo. His voice actor does a great job of getting emotion through. As he is punching Quan Chi, D'Vorah shows up to distract him. She checks on Quan Chi, who requests the amulet, but as he does, Scorpion's spear goes through his chest and we all know what's coming. Get over here! Scorpion drives Quan Chi towards him. D'Vorah throws the amulet to Quan Chi. As she does, Quan Chi starts doing some magic with the amulet. Just as Quan Chi catches it, Scorpion decapitates him. As his head hits the floor, he smiles. Such a sick scene. The amulet rolls out of Quan Chi's dead hand and Shinnok is released. This was Quan Chi's plan all along. He allowed himself to be captured so he'd be taken to Earthrealm right behind their defences. Shinnok puts everyone down, takes Johnny, and takes charge of the Revenants. The Kombat kids arrive too late, and they're the only ones left to save the day. And just when you think it can't get any crazier, Raiden arrives at the Sky Temple. Where have you been all story, Raiden? He tells Bro Raicho that it's nice to see him, and that he has been dealing with a snare left by Kano. It really took a lot out of him apparently. He has returned to use the Jinsen chamber to restore his energy. He tells Bro Raicho that it is possible to restore his pupils Liu Kang and Kung Lao, as long as Quan Chi lives. Ooh, who wants to tell him? Raiden says they were like sons to him. I'd hate to see how he treats his real sons. He was always such a dick to Kung Lao, and he killed Liu Kang. He would move the heavens to bring them back to the light, except, actually go look for Quan Chi in the past 20 years. This triggers the last flashback. This one takes place during MK9, right after Shang Tsung invites them to the second tournament, and the Tarkatans kidnap the Shaolin monks. My biggest issue with this scene is their outfits. This is not what they wore at the time. How hard would it have been to transfer the outfits over? It's a cool scene. It shows Raiden, Liu Kang, and Kung Lao rescue the monks, which they mentioned in MK9. It even shows D'Vorah was around during that game and working for Shao Kahn. It's a neat touch, but it does leave you to wonder why no one ever brought her up. It doesn't add a lot, and it might be the only part that's clearly filler. After thinking about the flashback, the Sky Temple is attacked by Shinnok and co. Raiden gets ganged on by the Revenants, and for some reason Raiden forgets he has electricity powers and gets beat on. Teleport out of there, man! He manages to break out eventually once he uses his powers. He has a one-on-one fight with Liu Kang because Liu Kang's main rival is Raiden now. Raiden wins, but he is hurt. He heads for the Jinsei chamber. Shinnok is there corrupting the Jinsei, and so is Johnny tied up in some cheese. Raiden fails to stop Shinnok and the sky becomes blood red. It's gnarly looking. This also transforms Shinnok into his boss form, which looks a bit too try-hard for me. Meanwhile, the Kombat kids are on their way to the temple by plane, but the Blood Sky forces them on foot. Whilst in the forest, Kotal Khan's forces arrive. The kids must fight off the forces by working together. Jackie has a neat moment where she fights Ermac, and he mentions how he was the one to rip off Jax's arms. After managing to hold off Kotal Khan's forces for as long as they could, Sub-Zero shows up to save them. He tells them they did a good job, which is a callback to how shit they were earlier. He's going to stay here to push Kotal Khan back to Outworld. He has a lot of faith the Kombat kids can save the day. The Kombat kids make it to the Sky Temple and fight off the Revenants, not without taking a lot of damage. It's a clever touch that they fight all the old heroes to prove they are ready to carry the mantle. Jackie and Takeda stay behind to hold off the rest of the Revenants. Cassie and Kung Jin go after Shinnok. Kung Jin immediately gets knocked down, leaving Cassie as Earthrealm's only hope. A very similar scene to the beginning of the game plays out. It's like poetry, it rhymes. Shinnok is about to kill Johnny. This activates Cassie's green powers, which she uses to defeat Shinnok, just like the start of the game, remember? Cassie and Kung Jin put Raiden in the Jinsen in order to cleanse Shinnok's corruption. This works and Earthrealm is saved. The Revenants withdraw. Takeda asks Jackie out on a date. Cassie goes to free Johnny. Sonya appears at the same time and tells Johnny he did a great job with his team. This makes him smile, and she says, "She called me Johnny," which is just lovely. Hopefully things can work out for the Cage family. We get one last scene after the credits where Raiden has clearly been corrupted by Shinnok. He is Dark Raiden. He is threatening the new leaders of the Netherrealm. No longer is he just going to defend Earthrealm, he will go on the offensive and show no mercy. He throws Shinnok's head on the floor and says, "There are fates worse than death," and zips out of there. The rock music kicks in as we see Liu Kang and Katana looking worried. This is such an amazing setup for the next game. They didn't really do much with Dark Raiden before, I can't wait to see a whole story where he is the villain and being morally grey. I can't wait. Wait, he's only like dark rating for 20 minutes in MK11? Fuck! Ultimately, I had a fantastic time revisiting MKX. The combat is the funnest in the series for me. I love the roster, the fatalities are sick, and the brutalities are a great new feature. The story might not be as good as MK9, but it's still really fun. I like how NetherRealm tried some new mechanics like the variations. I would absolutely recommend this for anyone who is looking for a lot of fun. Time to rank it. So the first question, is it better than MK9? For me, it is. The combat here is just MK9 but faster and more intense. I may like the costumes and story more in 9, but I still love X almost as much, so it's above that. Now the big question, is it better than DMC3? You know, I think it is. I'd rather fight my way through a tower than put on Dante's red coat. It's very close though, this is purely based on how much fun I had during the combat. DMC has a better story, but I care about the MK world and characters more. So yeah, new number 1. If you made it this far, thanks for watching. Only MK11 left to cover now.